Plane is about a commercial airline that crash lands in an island in the Philippines, and Gerard Butler, the pilot of this commercial airline, needs to figure out how he's going to get his passengers safely off the island before they all get killed by a bunch of pirates. You know, the film came to me the way all of them do, through my agents. But I read the script, and I had a heads up on what their vision was. I really adored the director, and I was a huge Gerard Butler fan. So it seemed like something I hadn't done before. Also, Bonnie was a character who was really strong but sweet, and like it was not the type of character that I've gotten to portray before. So it was a good fit. Plane, what was so cool about shooting it was that it felt like a 90s action film. And I think the distinction is that, you know, there's tons of action movies that get made, but we all know the ones from the 90s are the best because they're cinematic. And this movie is cinematic. It's not just a digital throwaway, like there's artistry, everyone wanted to feel real and raw. Like it's definitely going to be a standout film for that reason. So I played the head flight attendant, Bonnie, who oversees all the passengers, the safety of the passengers, and when the time comes where we have to crash land, I don't think that's something she's ever had to do before. So it was fun to play Bonnie because she was definitely like the mother or the mother hen of everyone on the film. Jerry Butler plays Brody Torrance, who Gerard Butler, as he's known in Hollywood, who's so kind and so sweet and has a really wonderful reputation. So I was really excited just to get to work with him. And he playing Brody Torrance was particularly special because he's not someone as a character who's already seen a bunch of action. He's a pilot of a commercial airline who gets put in a situation to become the hero. And so I also thought that that's what made this movie different, you know, as opposed to the guy who's already seen a lot, you know, it's like he's someone who has to think on his feet and think in the moment and what are we going to do? And it definitely made it made the shoot, I don't know, just feel raw and realistic. It was very apparent, even on the first day, how much he cares. Like, yes, he's a producer. Yes, he's the main character, but he cares deeply about things being realistic and people bringing their best. And he, you know, he's got a lot of passion and a lot of Monster Energy drink running through his veins. And he is a machine, I'll tell you what. But he wants it to be good at the end of the day. And he's so committed. I mean, he's committed at a 12, so everybody else better bring their A game. And it kept our production going. Evan Dane Taylor plays Junmar, the head pirate, who's the villain, the ultimate villain in our movie. And that is a testament to what a good actor he is, because off camera, he is a little lovable man, like kind and sweet and giggly and sensitive and like lovely to be around. And then he turns it on and he's evil and your worst nightmare and makes our lives a living hell in the movie. But none of those things. I mean, just like incredible. Like as soon as camera's on, he's a different human being. He was fantastic. It was the perfect backdrop. I mean, the movie's supposed to be set in the Philippines, but where we shot, you know, we shot on that tarmac and it was hot. And you really felt like the stakes were high because it was, you know, it was challenging. It was really rewarding, but man, that weather was like, it was real. Yeah. This movie required, you couldn't be out of shape and shoot this movie or you're going to get hurt. Again, they want everything to look realistic and have there be real panic. And I don't know how much running and jumping and things that we did. And if you want it to look real, you can't fake that. You got to really like run at a 10. And and also like when they're like, I think the pirates are hitting us on the way into, you know, it was like, it was real. It was like the stakes were really high. And coupled with the heat, you know, it's one of those things where it's not until you're done and you're headed back home where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we did all that. That was crazy, exhausting, and demanding. But I think at the end of the day, it's gonna speak for itself. Like none of it looks make believe. It has a very real feel to it. There was a lot of portraying dangerous things with shooting, with gimbals. But Jim Churchman, our head stunt coordinator, he's a pro. So, he puts safety first. How are we going to portray the most realistic action and do it in the safest way? And so I always felt like I was in good hands. And, and also Jim's very communicative. Like, are you comfortable with this? Do you want to do this? You don't have to do this. If you don't want to do this, we can figure out another way. So there was a lot of options. Jim's very talented and he's very good at what he does. That's why he does all the big projects. So we were definitely in the hands of a pro. Number one on the call sheet, oftentimes, more than not, they set the tone for the entire film. And one of the reasons why I agreed to do the movie is because Jerry has such an outstanding reputation. Everyone says he's nice, and he was all of those things that I had heard about. And, not all movies are like that. Not all number one on the call sheet are like that. In fact, if you do encounter someone who's warm and gregarious when the camera turns off, consider yourself very lucky. And Jerry is one of those people. He wants you to do your best, and he also wants you to have fun, because you're not going to make anything good if you're not having fun. And I think that he gets that. Jean-François Richet, whose films I had seen, I knew that this was going to be very special. One, because he's French, and let's be honest, the French are some of the best filmmakers alive. They want things to look beautiful and look good. Yes, it's about the action and portraying that part of it, but how do we do it in the most cinematic and the most beautiful way? Like their use of even the dust when we shot on the tarmac, and there's all that dust, and there's all these shots of the mercenaries coming off the plane, and it looks grand and incredible, and he was just so good at capturing that. You would look at something and you'd be like, I don't really get it, and then he would figure something out, and you'd look at the monitor and you'd be like, oh, this guy's a genius. Clearly he knows what he's doing. I think for me, having such a big ensemble was really special, and I'll tell you why. Because all the projects I've shot before were during COVID, when you didn't get to socialize, there wasn't testing, things weren't established yet. And by this time, everyone had been running such a tight ship, and we're all testing every day, that it was nice to feel like an actor again and get to speak with other actors, in between. That's not a movie I would have wanted to just go by myself back to my trailer and be alone. We all got through that as a group, and we all got really close because of it. I needed other people to be in Camp the Plane. Every character that's written in Plane could be anybody. Well, back in the day, anybody was just white people. And I think it was really important for Jerry and producers to reflect life. Also, this is a flight coming from Asia back to the United States. So, Bonnie in particular, Bonnie's just a head flight attendant. Well, now Bonnie's me. And that goes for the rest of the passengers. And I think that was, I know that was really important. And it was also really important to, hire a lot of locals. So, you have a lot of Latino actors in this cast, which is wonderful. I don't know. It's just, it's a more accurate reflection of life. And I think that, that was a goal for Jerry. I'm of the personal belief that every film should be seen in a theater. I mean, that's why we make movies. We're meant to be in a theater sharing an experience, a vulnerable experience with total strangers looking at something. And this movie in particular, because it is a 90s throwback feeling action film, it takes you back to the 90s when we used to go to theaters, and that was how we spent our Friday and Saturday nights. And that's what we did. That's what I grew up doing. And this is that kind of movie. This is why you go to the theater, to be with strangers in a dark room, and you're all on a plane that's going down, and it's totally like adrenaline rush, and it's fun, and this is like, it's just like the best experience. I mean, it's like why I went into this business at all. So get off your streaming and go see it in theaters.